Hey guys, Bolt here, and I'm gonna be running my AC unit just because it's hot. It was almost 110 degrees feel wise, so you're gonna sadly hear that. But you're gonna hear my voice rather than that thing most of the time. Anyways, so Tuesday I talked about Five Nights at Freddy's. I think it's best that I also do another topic I really got into about that same time would be The Walking Dead. What really sparked a lot of this stuff was just like I see everyone talking about where FNAF is, and like a weird thing is The Walking Dead when it was airing back in like season 9, season 10 was the last time I saw major conversations about it because it was so huge of a show. And I kind of want to just like talk overall because just right now, Daryl Dixon and the what is it called? It's the Maggie and Negan show. And then they had that quick one with Rick and Michonne. I think this aftermath is the well, Daryl Dixon's stuff is gonna be good with like whatever and whatnot. The issue with Daryl is just the fact that I think he's in Paris, and it's like I'm sorry, why? We couldn't have like had those web series. You couldn't have had like a worldwide situation where other people like we had a whole side story about Rick's brother from the comics who didn't make out of Japan, I think it was. Um and then uh the Maggie and Negan show, I'm gonna straight up say comics are better when it comes to Maggie. Maggie is so horrible after like season 7. Actually, during season 7, like I kind of liked her trying to like make Daryl not feel like it was his fault, even though it was with Glenn. But like her and Negan's thing, I know it's like that's the whole thing like everyone really loves. But the thing about the comic Maggie is just basically saying you ain't shit, which was the whole thing of season 9. Before we lost Rick, was literally you ain't shit. I'm gonna leave you in this cell and I'm gonna live my life. What does she not do? Not live her life and still worry about Negan. Like she still sees him as a weapon, of course, but the issue is just like this constant revenge plot. And then like I see the next season that they're coming out with is like them working together to make New York a thing. And like this is apparently years later when like they're starting to like make the states like they're spreading out their community. So it's just like, man, I love this like in the future thing with like Herschel being a teenager, young adult. But it's just like the Negan and Maggie thing. It gets old. And like there's a whole thing with like season 11, I think it was, where like they sat down and she explained to Negan why no one cares for his explanations. It's just like you can be the leader. Yes, we understand you were protecting people, but the issue is you were so cruel in your way of thinking that we do not care. Um and then with what so it was like just you had to throw Daryl to make like the whole like different nationality thing. Then you have Negan and Maggie doing this ongoing plot that should have resolved seasons ago. And then, like, yes, it's cool to see them do something in New York because it's one of the bigger cities. It's nice to see them do something. Like, they did good with who they chose. It's just what they're doing with those characters is the issue. And then there's the ones who survive, the Rick and Michonne. Love the characters, love what they did with them, hate the storyline. I understand, like, in the comics, the Commonwealth is like this big thing. Thousands of people are all in one spot. We can use them to like make a whole new world. Um, with Rick's like push, we can make it a better world than it was originally. Not trying to return to what it was, but make it better than it is with new, bonds. And then there's this CRM that's just like, it's a blink and you miss it, basically. Like, it's this huge, like, looming threat that's coming, and then, like, the season comes, and it's just like, so two people really just, like, completely burnt it out. I think it was, like, one of three, if I remember properly. It's, like, one of three camps. And, like, I think it was just the fact that, the other people who were a part of the CRM were like, that's not our job to like burn humanity. Our whole thing is to like recruit people, because they still return Rick and Michonne home in the end of this story. Or like probably some people that left over that cared to do so. But like, I understand Rick and Michonne are like throw Daryl and Carol in there, and it's like the get doners, but it's just like that was like an impossibility what they were doing. I really did like, the only thing I really did like was like, they are such a higher standard of what they do that Rick and Michonne could not run away. They had to deal with it or it would hunt them. And I don't know what they were doing with Jadis or whatever her name is. Because like she's always been a backstabby person. The fact that it's just like, oh, you got to kill me if you want to continue, or and like give them an ultimatum, and it's like, what? Don't you care about Gabriel? Don't you care about other people? Why would you want that? Okay, so it's just like, I like who it was. I don't like that they went to Paris with the characters, forcing them away, because it looks like Daryl is literally taken away right before Rick and Michonne come home. Maggie and Negan, way too stretched of a plot. Rick and Michonne, cool idea. They burned down a big threat very quickly, and only two of them, which feels like an impossibility. And that's kind of my thoughts on the new shows. But like, going back into the past, I miss the old seasons, man. Season 1 and season 2 were all about horror, where like the whole thing is the zombies were able to like creep up on them, grab onto them, get a hold of them. I think Amy was like one of the biggest things, because it's just like, you could feel like you're safe, and then all of a sudden just chomp, you're dead. And I think like, I forgot who made that, but that original guy, I think Dale's actor went with him because he was let go. But he made The Walking Dead a presence with the first two seasons, just because you felt the threat of the zombies. And like, at the end of season 2, we are starting to get into people are going to become awful. We're going to have to deal with people eventually. Shane was the biggest thing of like, he was trying to force change before change can actually happen and get realized. He was trying to fall down the stairs to the bottom floor of what they were expected to do. Season 3, I think season 3 is more of a bloodbath with a side quest of Woodbury. I really think it was mostly like, they did the whole Lori thing. They did a bunch of characters like T-Dog, the prisoners. It's just like, this was kind of like the cleanup season for the who was a part of the group. And then having the governor show up, they extended it to season 4. I did like this, the sickness. The only thing of season 3 I liked really was kind of the, Rick being kind of like, he goes on his insanity, and the issue that I do have with that is that never comes back up. In the comics, he like holds onto the phone and like eventually he leaves it behind because he sees better. We really don't get to see that too much. Um, that's the only thing that did like it was cool when it was seen, but then it just like went nowhere. Um, the Daryl and Merle stuff, that was pretty cool, kind of like touching upon their backstory, what the characters are meant to be in this like greater story. Um, and really that's about it. Everybody else is just like dies or does some dumb crap. Season 4 really liked the sickness arc, and then this they just jumped right back into a governor arc to come back and do revenge, which I think they really should have done something where like they were getting used to the prison in season 3. We were still dealing with zombies. We're dealing with more like people and stuff. And then like at the very end have like the governor become like a noticeable issue, and then come into season 4 where it's just like back and forth fighting, and then they get the tank and blows it up. Having a secondary group for the governor felt kind of very Doctor Who, the long way round with that story. Not really needed. It was it was fun to see the separate groups like do little stories at the end and then come together at Terminus. Terminus, I think they did fine. I think because it felt like a huge thing, like hey, it's another community, and then like I think they did a April like they joke like they made a prank trailer where like the Rick group, our main group, would actually team up with the Terminus group. Um, and they're like looking for something if I remember properly. But like I really like that there was like it's a quick story. We do a whole thing with Bob and that's it. Um then we drop down drastically. We kill off Tyrese and like one of the biggest guys in the entire series. Like he did die in the governor arc, but like to get him bitten because he's just not in it is so crap. He was one of my favorite characters, and it's just all of a sudden just like chomp. What? I mean, I guess you would say, hey, that's what you do for like a major, big, strong character who can like knock around with a hammer. But it's just it's so like anticlimactic. And then we have the whole thing with Beth. Like that was cool, but like it went like aside from just killing Beth, the doctors and the officers meant nothing. Um and then like the lead up to um Alexandria, I think I liked the group best from like season like after the governor arc, season 4 till like the end of season 5. I think those were the perfect way of like the characters because they're like grisly, they're survivalist, they take very little risk. But like once season 6, it's like we're back into the pearly gates, everybody. Let's like of course we still have like Rick and Carol being like highly aggressive, but like season 6 is all set up. I really did like having the herd be another major like hey, the zombies are again becoming another problem. Um and I think I did like that. It's just the characters in season 6 I really didn't like. Like it was cool to see the mid finale with like Rick's new girl is killed with her 2 sons. Carl gets shot, and we're just gonna go over here and just do a whole like we're gonna be jumping into some zombie modes where it's just wave after wave, and we're gonna going with the boys until it's finished. Um, it was cool. It's just like things like the Glenn scene were like I love how it's just like, hey, he's got another half a season now. Cool. I think it would have been more impactful for him to die there. Um, that way, it's kind of like, hey, dumb shit gets other people killed that matter. That's I think that would have been so perfect for that. And I think that would have made that part, that a little arc, so much better. So much better. And then we have like the setup to the saviors. Not the greatest. The little I think we had the Jesus, like we met Jesus. We went into we dealt with one of the outposts of Negan's, and then all of a sudden we just have the whole like we have the cutoff, one of the most biggest like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to wait forever to see the conclusion here. That was a decision. I mean, I guess it's like, hey, a major death is happening. Like, I mean, if Aaron died there, like I love him in the like the later seasons, but like there we did not care about him. So it's just like, I think he replaced Heath in the lineup from the comics. But it was just everybody there, like some group of people were gonna be pissed. And I think I'm happy with what happened. It was just like to make it like cement itself, because everyone's just like, oh, it's just gonna be a comic 1-to-1 with Glenn. Having Abraham and Glenn, it's like, and then they're like to even like put Rick's face into the dirt and just smush it like you're nothing right now. You are going to be the dog pleading for forgiveness right now. I loved that premiere. That premiere, like, yes, people were pissed that like we lost two major characters, but I think Glenn's actor was really over the show. Like, I think he was dealing with mental problems, which I'm happy for him now. You know, him being invincible and stuff. He's made himself a good name aside from Glenn. I just do miss him because he was the heart of the show. He was kind of like the person that like led the group to have still him humanity. And I think once you took that away, they really should have been like leaning more into like murder jacket Rick for a lot of the group. And then like the fact that you had a whole setup for the saviors, and then now it's a whole setup like it's misery with a setup to war for season 7, which is cool, I guess. It's kind of like we do need to kind of see the aftermath and deal with everything. And just kind of see how miserable it is, and then at the end, like have everybody start rising up. I think we also met Ezekiel in the kingdom at this point. I think the kingdom added a whole new thing to it. Just like this is what the communities should be, you know, togetherness, a little bit of fantasy and stuff. And then season 8, it was a cool idea to have like this all-out war with people, but it's just, aside from like, well, I don't even like the ending. Like of course this is like I really do like the ending speech, like save Negan, that way he can be used as like, hey, we don't have any people like this happen again. And then the whole like we're living, that's death. You are to act like a human being. Stop acting like the dead. I do love that, but it's just like a lot of not like people we don't care about dying. I think we lost what's his name? I feel so bad. Aaron's husband or boyfriend. Eric, I think it was. Eric. Losing him was a very sad thing, but I think that happened in the comics too. Like showing that people who aren't prepared for war but will go to war to protect what they care about, I think adds a little bit of humanity to it. But like I don't really know what to really say. I think the only thing that I really cared about aside from the final speech and like some of the Negan fights was the what'd you call it? Grace. Like when they like, hey, this might be an enemy's baby, but we we'll make sure that, checks and balances or whatever. The one thing I don't I know why they did it, but Carl's death is one of the biggest fumbles of the series. Having your future protagonist just get killed by a simple rescue mission, or like I don't even think it was a rescue mission. It was like, I think his death was in vain, because the very person he brought in ended up dying to like the most pathetic way during the Whispers arc. But like the whole mentality of like, we need to free the souls of the walkers by killing them all, and it's like, yes, if I see a few walkers, I'm gonna take them out. That way, that's less risk down the road. But it's kind of like one of those things where, like, if you aren't skilled or you don't think you can't see everything, you shouldn't have done it. And then, like, I think aside from like I think it's Chandler Riggs, very similar to a lot of other people. He thought it was his time to go. So of course it was forced into the hands of people. You can't really just have the son of the main character just walk off and not do anything. I mean, you had the whole main character decide to walk off and do nothing for several seasons. But I think it's kind of to like subvert expectations of like the new generation is not the ones who grew up, it's the ones who are made. So it's just like that bloodlust Carl was starting to gain. I think it's just like he settled with it. We're just like, yeah, this is what my bloodlust led me to. Season 8. Actually, I will give season 9. Season 9 was one of the best seasons, because it's like season 1, season 2 were all about the zombies. Season 3, season 4, take it or leave it. Season 5, dumb crap, but then I loved the survivors. Season 6, all set up. Season 7, we're having feelings. Season 8, what the hell are your decision makings? And then season 9 is like, all right, this is what The Walking Dead should have been. We have all these, walkers. They're starting to dry out. They're starting to like age. And then like trying to like find ways to develop the new world with so little technology left in the world. And like slowly having to divert from cars into wagons and stuff. I love that. And then the whole thing of like the Whisperers. I think the only thing I don't know. The only thing that I'm like iffy about season 9, aside from the whole Daryl and Maggie betraying everybody, was the Oceanside, like this whole like side group we had like a whole setup for, just gone. And then the Whispers, having Jesus die and reveal that, it's like, one, I'm sad because I think Jesus decided, I think his actor decided to leave because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to. Like the All Out War arc, I looked in the comics, he is quick. He grabs a grenade and throws it back at Negan's group. It's like, that's what we wanted from him. And like, we don't get his cool stuff aside from when we met him and when he's about to die. But I think it's like to kind of like, well, crap. These new enemies are terrifying. We can't even like do cool. We can't even aura farm and while like stabbing zombies no more, because I think Daryl went like dueling knives on some zombies. And it's just like, you can't do that no more because there might be humans among them. And then season 10, I really wanted to like season 10, but once Alpha was gone, it slowed down for me a lot. Um, and then I think the only one thing of like all that was aside from like making Carl's death in vain. Um, I really liked the double agent thing, but what's the other thing? It was the border, like the heads on sticks, the pike scene. I don't know if I would have chose the characters for that. Yes, you have the youth. That way it's like, hey, even the youth aren't protected. Hey, here's Henry, he's a major death because he was supposed to be the replacement Carl. Everyone's feeling like he was going to be the new Carl. And then we had, the elderly. Um, we lost Tara, which is sad because that means the only two survivors of the only two survivors of that like group during season 4 was Eugene and Rosita. Because it's just like Abe's gone, Glenn is gone, Tara was like the one remaining of the Woodbury. So that's another thing is she was the last of like the Woodbury arc, you know. So it's just like that is like burying history right there. And I'm so sad that she didn't do too much before her death. But it's like I like what they were trying to represent here, but I don't think they did enough major characters because it's like in the comics, it's like major character Rosita, major character Ezekiel, and I think they even take Luke's group, Luke, Yumiko, and the sisters. Um, I think they killed Luke in the comics. Um, if I remember properly, I think that would have like, hey, the new group has something to bond with them now. And then like I know he was a major actor in like I think it was a Harry Potter film, The Beast and Where to Find Them. I understand he couldn't be there, but making him and his like love interest die in the most random bullcrap way, I think they really should have killed him there. Be like, hey, he's gonna be too. He's gonna be needed. Let's kill him so that we have them care. Um, and then just like Michonne leaving because she finds boots. And then season 11. This could have been so cool because it's like I think Daryl taking the head position in those last seasons, I think really did fix some of the issues without Rick. But it's just like it feels very convoluted that last season. And I don't even think I cared about most of that one. I kind of blinked and like, hey, it's over. And then like the fact that it's like, hey, and like the ending part, we find out that Rick is still looking for them. We find out Michonne might meet up with him, and whatnot. And I think they did a whole like We Are the Walking Dead or something, and have like a lot of the old actors' voice stuff, and that was so cool. I really wish they did something with Glenn. That's the one thing is like during Rick's final episode, seeing Herschel, then seeing Shane, Sasha felt a little weird. I feel like they could have done somebody else. Just because I didn't feel for Sasha. Like, yeah, I'm a little sad. Like Tyrese's sister was gone, but it's just like I'd rather if you had Tyrese come in. I'd rather you've had Glenn come in, and I wasn't gonna say. I think they should have kept Glenn and been like, because I think they did something with Abraham during the death of Sasha, where like they were planning on having a family, and like her whole thing was like they would be together as a family originally, and that's why she died. Um, But I think Glenn should have came in for like Daryl or Maggie and been like, you know, like kind of been like a haunting ghost that eventually becomes a forgiving ghost. But it's like some decisions were made, some were good, some were bad. But in general, I had fun with the series. It's the setup seasons and like the seasons that like something was built up to, and then we burn it down in the most pathetic way possible. I didn't like that. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.